First, the good. Dozens of police officers helped grant a wish of a little boy battling cancer. Just look at the joy in that little face, right? Brantley Tabor sworn in as an honorary sheriff at his school in Indiana. The 6-year-old wants to be a police officer when he grows up.
So nice. All right, next the bad. $2 million in meth found stuffed inside these knockoff Disney figurines. The feds intercepting the shipment from Mexico to Atlanta.
That's goofy.
Yikes.
See what I did there? Goofy, Disney?
Yes, I see what you did.
And finally, the ugly. This burned out home selling for $800,000 in Silicon Valley. Realtor says the price reflects the value of the property, calling it a great opportunity to build a dream home. Average price of a home in the area, $1.4 million, so you're getting a deal.
Yes. If you look at the bright side of things, I guess you could see how you're getting a deal.
We need Chip and Joanna, the Gaines, to get in there and a little fixer-upper.
Thank you so much for watching. Tomorrow's Friday.
Maybe she'll dance. I say we vote. Tweet it in right now. Fox and Friends starts right now.
Indications suggest a military strike against Syria could be imminent.
We have a number of options, and all of those options are still on the table.
This year will be my last one as a member of the House, leaving this majority in good hands with what I believe is a very bright future.
Devin Nunes, along with Congressman Trey Gowdy, met with Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein and viewed a copy of the 2-page FBI memo that kick-started the Russia probe.
Small step in the right direction, but there's still redactions in it.
How strange is it for you to sit here and compare the president to a mob boss?
James Comey is a dirty cop who was compromised from the very beginning of the investigation into Hillary Clinton.
Why is Facebook censoring Diamond and Silk?
Our team made an enforcement error.
So now it's time for him to rectify that mistake.
With President Trump, we've got a new sheriff in town. Zero tolerance, and zero releases, and 100% prosecution.
Everybody live from New York City. It is the 12th day of April 2018, and this is Fox and Friends from the mezzanine level. Hi, we're up here. Come on, Dan.
Good morning to you. It's Thursday. You can smell the weekend.
No, you know what you can smell. You know what today is?
What? National
Grilled Cheese Day. And in about a half an hour, Janice Dean on our plaza is going to attempt to create a 35-pound grilled cheese sandwich.
She likes hers with mayonnaise and bacon.
Fantastic.
That sounds terrific.
Right. I'm just trying to, I was just scouring the internet to find any health nutritional plan with grilled cheese and bacon on it.
It doesn't exist.
I'm not sure it
Bacon
does
is
exist.
okay for you in
Right.
moderation. I'm telling you, I'm reading this new book. The #1 book in the world right now regarding food is called Food, What to Eat by Dr. Hyman out of the Cleveland Clinic. He says bacon every day.
That's one of those things, though. It's like wine and coffee. It's good for you one week. The next week, we do a news story that says it's not good for you.
Anyway, it turns out they're going to make like a 50 or 60-pound grilled cheese sandwich. So stay tuned. What a show.
Meanwhile, 2 minutes after the top of the hour, let's talk about a military strike that should be, by all accounts, more massive and more substantial than the one a year ago when 59 Tomahawks rained down on Syria after Saturday's gas attack that killed 40 and sent 500 to the hospital. And after the president tweeted 23 hours ago, Russia vows to shoot down any all missiles fired at Syria. Get ready, Russia, because they will be coming nice and new and smart. I was shocked to find out that the Secretary of Defense Mattis at least tells us that he's not even sure it was Syria that did it, which is astounding because other people said they were sure and we had eyes on the entire thing.
Well, the reporter asked him yesterday at the White House, said, do we have enough evidence to know this was Syria? Listen to his response.
Have you seen enough evidence that to win the Assad regime for this most recent chemical attack? Have you seen evidence confident to make that assumption?
We're still assessing the intelligence ourselves and our allies. We're still working on this.
Is the U.S. military ready right now to conduct a retaliatory strike if ordered?
We stand ready to provide military options if they're appropriate, as the president determines. But thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
You're welcome.
He wanted to end it there.
So as he says, they are ready, but they're trying to figure out who did it. There are these stories out there, and, you know, you got to figure some of it could be Russian propaganda. But I was reading this morning in Newsweek online, because there is no print edition anymore, that apparently this group called the White helmets, which used to be the Syrian Defense Organization. There are stories that they staged bodies to make it look like there was a gas attack. Meanwhile, you've got Russian media saying, we sent investigators in, our military did, and they could not find any traces of any toxins or gas on any of the bodies.
And the Russians are so reputable, and they've always told the truth in the past. And those child actors with those gas masks, they're probably going to be up for Oscars.
Exactly. They're 2 years old, 3 years old.
They really
they're in diapers and they're actors.
Right.
You know, our president was tweeting that missiles are on the way. Get ready, Russia. Well, Russia is apparently tracking our ships because we deployed at least one ship, and there was one already there in the region. Russia's tracking our ships, and they were seen removing 11 of their ships off of the coast of Syria. I don't know if that was to get their ships out of the way or to get in place so that they could shoot down our missiles if we shoot them.
Well, they know something is coming because the president yesterday eliminated the element of surprise. Nonetheless, there are these stories, hey, from Russia, hey, Syria didn't do it. Just know that, because if you shoot something at us, United States, we're going to shoot your stuff down. Sarah Sanders says all the options are still on that table.
The president has a number of options at his disposal, and all of those options remain on the table, and we're continuing to look at each one of them. The president holds Syria and Russia responsible for this chemical weapons attack. Russia has proven themselves to be responsible in part for this. They guaranteed that the use of chemical weapons by Syria would not happen again. They failed at that. They've also helped enable Syria by vetoing 6 different UN resolutions that have helped protect Assad. So they certainly hold some responsibility in this, and certainly have proven themselves to be bad actors in this process.
When President Obama said, got off his prepared remarks and said, if you cross the red line using chemical or biological weapons, that's a red line for us, and then didn't act, had a plan, took a walk around the White House, changed his mind, kicked it to Congress, and went golfing, the devastation on our foreign policy and credibility we're still recovering from. This president, at this moment, has credibility. If he takes a backward step now and doesn't follow through, I don't care how long it takes, we will almost never recover as long as he's in office. And if you talk to the chairman of Foreign Relations, Bob Corker, if you talk to General Jack Keane, if you talk to Lindsey Graham, they have the evidence. They know it's there. There's a sense that the Russians want this fight and that we are backing off because we wonder if this is somewhat of a plot to hook us in.
Right,
I say we're a superpower. We have a responsibility to act like that. And when we say we're going to do something, everything is on the line if we don't do it. The president will never recover from this internationally.
But can you imagine if they didn't actually do it? And so it does sound, look, I've got...
Then why would you tweet that out if he didn't do it?
I'm getting information from the State Department. They all say, look, we've got intel that shows that Syria was somehow involved. But nonetheless, they're making sure that it's going to happen. Right now, the general consensus at the Pentagon is it's going to be one strike. There are going to be a number of targets. They had thought about a 3 or 4 day deal. That's out. Looks like the United Kingdom, France, and the United States will be all together on the attack when it happens.
The UK has not committed. Theresa May is wavering.
She's calling a cabinet meeting today.
Yeah, calling a cabinet meeting today. She does not have the support. If you listen to Nigel Farage last night, only 1 in 4 people there. They're really concerned about popularity. Support anything like this, and a single strike might as well be a no strike. That means the 59 Tomahawks we sent last year got us 8 more attacks this year.
Right.
What is another single strike going to do?
Well, that's what the Pentagon is thinking right now, just reporting the facts. Meanwhile, the Attorney General for the United States, Jeff Sessions, was at the Texas Border Sheriff's Coalition annual spring meeting. They had 31 heads of 31 different departments around the table where he was talking, and essentially he made it very clear there are changes in the immigration system, and they're going to start talking no tolerance, 0 releases, and 100% prosecution. Why? New leadership. Listen.
With President Trump, we have a new era of support for law enforcement like we haven't seen in many years. You might even say we've got a new sheriff in town. We are working to take criminals off the streets by restoring the rule of law and really protecting and fixing our immigration system. So we're going to step up our efforts to achieve 0 tolerance and zero releases and 100% prosecution.
That's what people want to hear.
And he says to all of them, he says, I know you have challenges, and I'm here to try to fix these. I know you have limited resources, you have manpower needs, you need more beds and equipment's needed, and you're facing a lot of violence. And he says, I'm here to support you. And California they've responded. We saw New Mexico, we saw Arizona and Texas put more of the guardsmen on the border when the president said he was sending them in. Well, guess what? Governor Jerry Brown of California has said, I am now going to comply, and I'm sending 400 additional guardsmen down to the border.
But there's a big but.
Yeah,
What's the but?
There's a big, that's a great move for Governor Brown to do this. I actually think he had very little choice, especially as momentum built against a sanctuary state. But he goes on to clarify why he's doing it. He says, let's be clear on the scope of the mission. This will not be a mission to build a new wall. It will not be a mission to round up women and children or detain people escaping violence, seeking a better life. And the California National Guard will not be enforcing federal immigration laws.
So that's the but.
That's the big but. That is a huge but. And here's the thing. What he does not understand is this is illegal immigration. There's legal and illegal. Everybody understands there's a refugee way for refugees to get in our country. The way can't be sneaking in, just walking across our border. Why would anyone do it the right way if he's encouraging the wrong way?
Look, here's the thing. The president made it clear, I'm sending up to 4,000 National Guard down to help along the border. Jerry Brown says, I'll take 400 and I'm going to put them throughout the state. Well, you know what? That doesn't count. California should not get the money to fund the National Guard for those 400 personnel if it's not going to be in some measure regarding border security.
I wonder if Jerry Brown is starting to say, okay, so many cities now in my state don't want to be a sanctuary state. You had 2 more yesterday that voted because they're going to attach themselves to the DOJ lawsuit because they're saying we don't want to be a sanctuary state. Maybe he's listening to his constituents and saying, maybe I got it wrong, and I need to send these. He came up with this
half-baked idea. The whole idea is to send them down to assist with border security, and that is not going to work.
Yeah, and the president probably had the right to put him there himself and tell the National Guard, you go report, but it didn't come to that. Meanwhile, at 11 minutes after the hour, unless Jillian wants to strike, she has to read the news now.
I do, and I don't want to strike. Not today anyway, though. No? I'm not sure tomorrow might be another story.
It's grilled cheese day. Come on.
It's going to be like 80 degrees tomorrow. I might strike. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding. All right, guys, let's get you caught up on a Fox News alert right now. The resistance to sanctuary cities growing in California. The city of Westminster voting overnight to support a federal lawsuit against the state. The sanctuary cities law limits local law enforcement from cooperating with federal immigration authorities. Westminster joins 8 other Orange County cities that have opposed the bill. The documents that kickstarted the Trump-Russia probe now in the hands of Congress. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein handing the 2-page memo over to House Intelligence Committee Chair Devin Nunes and House Oversight Committee Chair Trey Gowdy. Those documents not yet made public. The Justice Department giving in after Nunes threatened to have Rosenstein and FBI Director Christopher Wray impeached. Years of soft policy on Russia are over. That's what Secretary of State nominee Mike Pompeo is expected to tell the Senate during his confirmation hearing today. According to remarks obtained by Fox News, Pompeo will also emphasize that while challenging diplomatic efforts with Moscow must continue. The CIA director was picked the head of the State Department after the president fired Rex Tillerson last month. 2 baseball games turn into base brawls with benches clearing and punches thrown. Watch.
And there it is. And Austin does not like it. Now he's going to head toward the mound. Now this is a brawl.
Oh, yeah, it is. The Yankees and Red Sox coming to blows when Yankee Tyler Austin is hit with a pitch and charges the mound. Punches also thrown at the Rockies-Padres game after a wild pitch. 5 players were ejected there. What you guys think about
Do they have a history, those two? Do they not like
each other? The Yankees and Red Sox.
No, there's no history there. I didn't even think
between those 2 players.
They don't love each other.
No,
what?
Boy, I'm
The
being
teams
sarcastic.
don't. No, I know the teams don't, but I didn't know if those 2 individuals
that I
sparred
don't know.
before.
That I don't know.
No, but just when you slide hide into second and then you get to bat, then you get hit in the elbow, then you press the mound like children. That's why I pay the big
You know what I mean? The loyalty of both teams, that they all storm the field.
That's what
they do. Thanks, Jillian.
Right. Thank you. Meanwhile, 13 minutes after the hour, more lawmakers confronting Mark Zuckerberg about why Facebook labeled Diamond and Silk unsafe.
Diamond and Silk have a question for you. And that question is, what is unsafe about 2 black women supporting President Donald J. Trump?
His response and what Dominic Silker is saying now, just ahead.
And a new way to silence conservatives on campus? Call them hate groups. We've got a Fox News alert because the president just tweeted about our next subject. Never said when an attack on Syria would take place, could be very soon or not so soon at all. In any event, the United States under my administration has done a great job of ridding the region of ISIS. Where is our thank you, America? Joining us right now is the policy advisor for the Syrian campaign, Keenan Rahmani. Good morning to you, Keenan.
Good morning. Thank you.
You like the fact that the President of the United States is talking tough, and it looks as if there will be a strike on Syria.
I absolutely support President Trump in his promise for military action. In response to this heinous war crime, women and children were gassed to death while they were being starved by the Assad regime. This is unspeakable, and we have to do something. President Obama completely blew it in 2013 when Assad killed over 1,000 people, 400 of them children, and Obama just did nothing, signing a deal with Russia just to allow the Iran deal to go through. That's the real collusion, is Obama working with Russia, working with Iran to allow Syrians to be gassed to death. We need to stand up to Syrians who are facing not only chemical weapons, but barrel bombs, being tortured to death and their bodies being burned in crematoriums. This is the Holocaust Remembrance Day, and it's absolutely imperative that when we say never again, we really mean it. And President Trump, we urge you to please follow through on your commitment to hold Assad and Russia accountable for these heinous war crimes.
Mm-hmm. Of course, he's making it clear with this morning's tweet, Keenan, that is his intention. But we were also talking about how there are all these internet conspiracies, and the Russians are saying we didn't do it, and there's probably an activist group that staged it. What do you think about that stuff?
I mean, this is all just classic Russian propaganda. We should not listen to any of this. Look, we have the photos, we have the videos of the gas cylinders that were dropped on top of civilians. I know that the president is reviewing all of this evidence, but the evidence is very clear. What the president needs to do is to make sure that Russia doesn't get away with this, that Assad doesn't get away with this. There needs to be a response. There needs to be the complete grounding of the regime's air force immediately, as quickly as possible. And the regime is trying to move all of its assets out of the way so that the president can't hit those. And Russia is trying to make threats against the United States of America, but we should not be thwarted by this bluster from the regime and from Russia. We need to make sure that these warplanes that are dropping chemical weapons and barrel bombs on civilians are stopped from being able to do so, and I trust President Trump can do that.
All right, and I think he thinks, given the nature of that tweet, that he can do it as well. Keenan Rahmani, we thank you very much for joining us live from our nation's capital.
Thank you.
All right. Meanwhile, on this Thursday, the heads of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau under fire. Mick Mulvaney's crime? Frosted glass. What happened to transparency, huh? More on the invented outrage coming up. And Speaker of the House Paul Ryan retiring. What does that mean for the midterms? We're going to try to break it down. Next up on Fox and Friends.
Some quick headlines for you, starting with a Fox News alert. A spring break hotspot turning into a murder capital. Cancun, Mexico has seen 14 killings in just 36 hours. That's the highest ever in the country's recorded history. And caught on camera, a massive cruise ship crashing right into a pier. That's going to leave some damage. The ship filled with nearly 2,000 vacationers ramming into that port in Honduras. Thankfully, no one was hurt. Brian?
All right, Ainsley, House Speaker Paul Ryan revealing he will not be running for re-election, but sticking around for the next 8 months. And the political bombshell is raising questions about what this means for Republicans in the midterm elections. Help or hurt? Here to debate it, Democratic strategist Don Callaway and former political director for President George W. Bush, Matt Schlapp, who's got a very famous wife. Matt, real quick, you say the Speaker of the House never liked politics, was uncomfortable with the president, even though they had dinner last night. So this makes sense to you?
Yeah, it does. Look, I think there's been a lot of political change in politics, and the speaker has been uncomfortable with aspects of it. The biggest part that he's been uncomfortable with in being the Speaker of the House is, look, he's not a guy who loves politics. He doesn't like bathe in politics. He loves public policy. He loved passing that tax bill. That's the valedictory of his time as Speaker. And I think he's being honest with the American people and saying, look, I've done the job I wanted to do and I want to move on. And good for him for coming to that conclusion.
And Don, I know you were happy about this, but when that thumb went, when John McCain went thumbs down, that really killed his ideal, which would have been entitlement reform. He wanted it to start there. Your thoughts?
Well, Paul Ryan is a budget guy and he's a tax guy. So ultimately, I agree with Matt that the valedictory of his career, even more so than entitlement reform, has always been reforming our tax code for the first time since 1986. I don't agree with everything that happened in the tax bill, but it is a major achievement for Paul Ryan's speakership and his leadership. But let's be very clear. Matt is right when he says Paul didn't want to be Speaker. I'll tell you what else he didn't want to be is minority leader. Paul Ryan and 39 other Republicans see that blue wave is coming, and he wants no parts of that. I commend him, however, for doing the right thing and stepping aside now as opposed to running for another term and then stepping aside once the minority was confirmed.
Let me counter that. You know, the person who might be the most disappointed person in Washington is Nancy Pelosi. You know, people talk about Donald Trump's numbers, which are improving and much better than get reported. The politician with the worst numbers in the last 20 years in politics is Nancy Pelosi. You know what the focus is on 100% around this country as we get closer and closer to November? It is the Nancy Pelosi agenda, which is not going to help anybody in this country.
Yeah, there's two things we hear, Don. We hear if you bring up Nancy Pelosi, Republicans like that. And if you bring up impeachment, believe it or not, the Republicans like that. Even David Axelrod weighed in and said the American people don't want to hear that. Do you agree?
Yeah, this is a midterm election. You know, midterm elections are not about the House Minority Leader. Midterm elections are a referendum, particularly on the president. That is what history tells us. And we can always say that Nancy Pelosi is unpopular. Whether or not that's true, I'm sure that the Republicans will run on it. But this will be a referendum on Donald Trump. Nancy Pelosi doesn't really care whether or not Paul Ryan's Speaker because this is a referendum on Trump. And again, not only 39 Republicans, which is a record in Republican defections, but who else knows it is Matt Schlapp. It's his job to rally the conservative troops, but the blue wave is coming with or without Nancy Pelosi.
And believe it or not, Don, even though the momentum, you seem to be right when it comes to momentum, the generic poll that separates the two had the Democrats' lead shrink to just 3 yesterday, and I was surprised by that. But Matt, in the big picture, what is the additional fallout? Some say that after this, they pull the plug. A lot of other Republicans retire. Do you foresee that?
First of all, it's okay for politicians who don't feel the energy to run again to quit. I'd rather them quit than run a half-hearted race. And there are a lot of Republicans who are resigning, and I'm okay with bringing in fresh legs into the political scene. And the third point is that if this is a referendum on Donald Trump, it'll be a referendum on the Trump economy. Why do you see those generic ballot numbers, Brian, getting better for the Republicans? It's because people feel secure. They feel more economic security, and they feel like President Trump is projecting strength overseas, whether it's Syria or whether it's China or whether it's Russia. And that's what this race will come down to.
I have news for you. Kevin McCarthy, by the way, coming up again now. We'll ask him. He's good friends with the president, most likely will be the next speaker. But real quick, Don, I believe the president cannot say I projected strength if he now backs out of showing strength in Syria after what he said yesterday, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that, but I don't necessarily see his tweet as a backing out. His tweet is a very real response to the criticism that he was telegraphing military activity, and he's still saying, hey, I'm going to do something. I'm just not telling you exactly when it is. I support the president's action on Syria. I think that we should have taken Bashar al-Assad out long ago. I don't like tweeting about it. That's very unpresidential, but Bashar al-Assad needs to go.
Right. Final thoughts, Matt.
You know, in so many ways, Barack Obama did not keep us safe. And I think this election is going to come down to this one word. Do you feel secure as an American? Do you feel like you have greater economic security? And do you feel like you're safer because of the Trump policies? And I think that's why the Republicans will be in good shape. And we will pick up Senate seats for sure.
If we could all get along like this country would be in a better place. Don Calloway, Matt Schlapp, thanks so much.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Matt.
All right, have a great day. Meanwhile, straight ahead, crumbs didn't work. Now Democrats, in many cases, are shaming people who got bonuses from the president's tax cuts.
Remember, that is not free money. It's coming with the cost of driving up our debt.
That's more. There's more where that came from. And it's boy versus soccer ball, the adorable video that comes with a life lesson. That story coming up. I believe it's Don't Quit.
But I'd like to show you right now a a little picture here. You recognize these folks?
I do.
Who are they?
I believe, is that Diamond and Silk?
And their content was deemed by your folks to be unsafe. Diamond and Silk have a question for you, and that question is, what is unsafe about 2 black women supporting President Donald J. Trump?
Well, Congressman, nothing is unsafe about that.
Do you subjectively manipulate your algorithms to prioritize or censor speech?
Congresswoman, we don't think about what we're doing as censoring speech. I think that there are types of content like terrorism that I think that we all agree we do not want to have on our service. So we build systems that can identify those and can remove that content, and we're very proud of that work.
Let me tell you something right now. Diamond and Silk is not terrorism.
Why is Facebook censoring conservative bloggers such as Diamond and Silk?
Congressman, in that specific case, our team made an enforcement error, and we have already gotten in touch with them to reverse it.
Oh, Mr.
Really?
Zuckerberg, that is not accurate. So there you've got some of the festivities up on Capitol Hill yesterday. Mark Zuckerberg back in the hot seat once again, where he apologized. We blew it. We'll do things better. But they are no closer to any sort of government and regulation, although he said he would be open to it. But Congress, not ready to act.
It's amazing that many people might have laughed at Diamond and Silk and didn't realize the power that they have. But look what's happening. Yeah. Their names are being blasted throughout all of these congressional hearings, and Mark Zuckerberg is being held to a new standard because these ladies are speaking out. They said what he said yesterday to those congressmen and women was false. Listen to this.
I appreciate everyone that really stood up for us and our platform. I was happy to hear him admit that they made a mistake. So now it's time for him to rectify that mistake. We would like to sit down and talk directly to Mark Zuckerberg that he can rectify this here and make this right. We have not been in communication with Facebook. We have not been contacted. We have not spoken to anyone over the phone. So that was a lie.
People are still having issues with liking and following our page. The same algorithms are still there. Nothing has been resolved. And no one has been in communication with Diamond and Silk.
So that was misinformation by Mark Zuckerberg yesterday. I cannot believe they didn't get that down. He also didn't know that legislation's been moving that Marsha Blackburn sponsored that would talk about some type of regulation when it came to social media, especially Facebook. He did not know that. Found that hard to believe.
Well, there's been a lot going on. Steve Scalise, though, was citing the new algorithm that apparently Facebook has been using for a while. And for some reason, there's a tremendous bias against conservative news and content and actually enhances progressive points of view. What are the odds of that?
Neil Ferguson predicted that. He wrote a book about it. He says, I'm in Silicon Valley at the Hoover Institute. I'm telling you, they're looking to correct things in the midterms, and they're doing it.
Congressman Long said, go back and look what conservative sites you've taken down and compare them to the number of liberal sites that you've taken down. I think you'll see a discrepancy there.
All right,
let us know what you think.
If anyone ever tried to shut down Jillian Milley's social media footprint,
I would say no way.
There would be outrage.
Absolutely not. I'm putting my foot down.
Your name would have come up in the hearings yesterday.
Good morning to you. I don't say enough interesting for them to shut me down. The Trump administration now considering mandatory drug tests for food stamp recipients. Officials say it will only impact 5% of people on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance, or SNAP program, including workers who are considered able-bodied and have no dependents. At least 15 states already require drug testing for food stamp assistance. Remember when Nancy Pelosi said this about bonuses under President Trump's tax plan?
The crumbs that they are giving to workers to kind of put the schmooze on is so pathetic.
Well, now fellow Democrat Cory Booker is joining the chorus.
We're getting crumbs. And unfortunately, and by the way, those people who might have gotten $1,000 as a bonus, remember that is not free money. It's coming with the cost of driving up our debt.
The New Jersey senator says it's a ruse that tax reform would benefit average Americans. In Pennsylvania, students pushing to defund conservative hate groups. Student demonstrators, including those from Penn State, don't want any money going to Turning Point USA and the Bull Moose Party. Daily Wire editor Ben Shapiro saying silencing campus conservative speech is a growing issue.
I can only imagine that anti-immigrant rhetoric would be things like, let's enforce our border or let's deport some illegal immigrants. There's a big part of the left, and it's growing, that says that it is incumbent to protect the campus from ideas that are dissenting, and everyone who dissents must be thrown off.
Penn State tells campus reform it doesn't even fund either group in question. You know, as the saying goes, if you first don't succeed, try again. Well, how about again and again and again? Isaiah Lineberry living by those words while struggling to kick the soccer ball. But with some persistence and perseverance, the little boy from Pennsylvania finally succeeds. Oh, come on. It isn't his first time coming up against a challenge.
The coach was there.
I don't know. But this is also him. You remember this video of him running away from a girl during a wrestling match last year?
It's the same kid.
It's the same kid. So maybe he's just trying to find the sport that fits him.
cute.
Look, I grew up playing all sports and I was not great at one. So I feel his pain.
I love that he's playing.
What a great personality, though. This little kid just keeps trying.
Right. Not everybody's good at everything.
Right.
Janice Dean is good at weather casting and grilled cheesing.
It's National Grilled Cheese Day, everybody, and we are here celebrating with an epic 60-pound grilled cheese sandwich. And with us now are epic mealtime cooks, Harley Morenstein, Amir Atari, and Daniel Harosh. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you so much for having us.
Tell us about this epic 60-pound grilled cheese.
Well, it's a 60-pound grilled cheese sandwich. We made custom bread. We made custom slice of cheese in honor of Grilled Cheese Day. And we stayed up through the night working, and it was worth it. I mean,
it was.
You got to put the time in if you wanna make a splash. And right now, the splash is a 60-pound grilled cheese sandwich, baby.
What is the key to making the best grilled cheese?
The key to making the best anything, no matter what it is, even a bath for yourself, is butter. Butter at the end of the day. So for a good grilled cheese sandwich, plenty of butter. Butter every single part of the bread, the outside, the inside, the corners, the edges, everything.
Okay, I'm dying. Can somebody cut this baby for me?
Amir?
And while Amir does that, tell me about the pepperoni that you've got around here.
So what we got over here is our own custom pepperoni jerky, by the way. It's called Pizza in a Bag. Available at every single Walmart in the USA. I mean, I got to be honest, this 60-pound grilled cheese sandwich is a mere vessel.
Yeah.
To bring me here to tell you about this jerky that we got. It tastes like pizza.
You could
It's
put it
low
in
carb.
the grilled cheese.
We got a video going up today on social media where we're gonna be taking the pizza, the jerky, and putting it inside a grilled cheese sandwich.
Come to mama! Come to mama!
Are you ready?
I'm
All
ready.
right.
Are
Need your
you
mommy,
ready,
Amir.
America?
Are you ready, baby?
Come on.
Yeah.
You're going for it. Squeeze that.
Okay.
Squeeze it together. Get that
Right in there.
crunch.
Yeah.
Compress it. Compress.
That's grilled cheese right there.
Janice,
baby.
you need
Pizza
some
in a
ketchup.
bag.
You got to dip it in a little ketchup.
Do you
That's
guys
the way.
got ketchup?
No, we didn't do that. You could take a pizza in a bag though and
Look
just
at that.
wipe it a little
Doesn't
bit.
matter.
Gives a nice
so
flavor.
good.
Without it breaking.
That's
It's so
something.
good.
It is good. And we just saw pizza in a bag.
I know.
Why is that
You
taking
wrote
so
it
long
down.
to invent?
You can buy it. It's fantastic.
All right. Meanwhile, 19 minutes before the top of the hour, Democrats attacking the president's head of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau for his, quote, lack of transparency because he frosted the glass in his office. Are you kidding me?
It's not transparent, just saying. Plus, the documents that kickstarted the Trump-Russia probe now in the hands of Congress, or actually Congress got a look at it. 2 members did yesterday. What does he think? He's next.
He wrote a column about it.
Beautiful. Mwah.
Well, the FBI caving to pressure when faced with the consequences of not turning in those redacted documents.
They can either cough them up now, or it will get really complicated starting tomorrow night, and we'll have to take all the steps necessary in order to get the documents. We will have a plan to hold in contempt and to impeach.
Well, that was Tuesday night. That ultimatum finally got some results, and the FBI and the Department of Justice finally letting the House Intel chairman see the memo that kicked off the Russia probe, at least 2 pages of it.
All right, here to react is Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano. Judge, they have not spoken about what they saw. What do you think, first off, they saw?
If they saw 2 pages, they saw a summary, or they saw the first page and the last page. I haven't seen it, but I assure you the application of the FISA court was not 2 pages. It's more like between 75 and 100 pages. I'm just guessing from similar applications that I have seen in my work. But as we were saying during the break, this is getting very serious, Brian. This conflict between a Republican Congress and a Republican-managed Department of Justice And the President of the United States should pick up a telephone and resolve this.
Right.
I mean, the last time we had a dispute like this, it was over Fast and Furious, and a Republican House of Representatives held a Democratic Attorney General, Eric Holder, in contempt. And what happened as a result of the contempt? Nothing. They didn't even get the documents because they don't pursue these things. Congress, not just Devin Nunes's committee, the House of Representatives should subpoena a person, Chris Wray, Jeff Sessions, whoever has control over the whole thing. And if that person doesn't produce the documents, that person should be held in contempt.
It seems, Judge, as if the Attorney General of the United States is not acting in the president's best interest or in the best interest of Congress's opportunity and right to see what's in all these documents.
Then there must be some conflict, by which I mean he must see something in there that he believes would be harmful for the public to see. Now, there are statutes that regulate. You had John Lausch on yesterday. That's the U.S. attorney who's been commandeered to leave, I think, Chicago to come and run this. Putting a U.S. attorney in charge of a document production is like putting an orthopedic surgeon in charge of clipping fingernails. This is just not
So
something...
it's window dressing.
Yes, this is just not something...
Meaning anyone can do it, or he shouldn't have done it?
No, I'm a fan of John Lausch's, meaning anyone can do it. There's a category of documents they can't release. They can't release the names of confidential informants. That's a statute. Right. They can't
Grand
release
jury.
what they gave to a grand jury. That's a statute. They can't release what they gave to FISA without the FISA court's
Right,
permission.
so-
That's a statute. These things are not judgments the DOJ makes. These are laws that the DOJ has to comply with. I don't think Congress is serious about wanting these documents. It wouldn't be taking 14 months.
Well, Nunes wanted documents that he wanted to see why the FISA court agreed to allow Trump's campaign to be surveilled.
Yeah.
Exactly. So is he going to be happy when he reads those 2 pages
he
that he
read 'em,
received
right?
yesterday?
You know,
Is he happy, and is he
right.
going to continue with the
He read them
impeachment
last
thing?
night, and he issued a statement which was kind of neutral, like, we're deeply grateful to Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein for releasing the documents. He didn't say, aha. I don't think he read everything. If Steve's sources are correct, and they probably are, and it's just 2 pages, it's a summary.
Here's what Fox found out. There were some redactions because the redactions have been narrowly tailored to protect the name of foreign country and name of foreign agents. These words must remain redacted to determine the words who could harm the national security of the American people.
The law requires that.
All right. So we were taking some names out. So we don't really know what they saw, but they were grateful for the opportunity. Trey Gowdy's not really a naive guy when it comes to the law, so
Agreed.
he didn't come out saying, I didn't see enough.
2 pages. How many documents are in there?
Thousands.
Many, many thousands. So this is the tip of the iceberg.
Judge, thank you very much.
Where is Janice with that
Outside.
500-pound
You do not.
sandwich?
You're on
Are
a
you
very,
hungry?
You're on a very strict regimen.
We have pizza in a bag for you. All right,
Pizza in
Judge,
a
thank
bag.
you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, Judge.
Technology.
Well, remember when Joy Reid said this about MS-13?
He gives a speech tonight in which he makes it sound like the biggest issue in the United States, the biggest threat is MS-13, a gang nobody that doesn't watch Fox News has ever heard of.
Oh, really? So why did New York's liberal governor just spend millions in combating the gang?
They're right by my house.
I guess he's watching Fox News.
Yeah. Plus, the White Sox must no. His son, his brother's got a show. The White Sox must see attraction this year. They can't attract anybody. They're terrible, and no one comes to the games when they play the Devil Rays.
Hello, Carly.
Carly Shimkus. That's the
Hey,
baseball
Carly.
report.
I do. Why?
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, I've been working all week and I'm tired and I don't want to sleep and I want to have fun. It's time for a good time.
Some trends. Democratic Congressman Keith Ellison's picture left right there, accusing Budget Director Mick Mulvaney, screen right, of lacking transparency. His proof: Mulvaney's frosted windows at the CFPB office.
In a tweet, Ellison writes, quote, Mick Mulvaney touts himself as Mr. Transparency, but today when I showed him this picture, he admitted it was his office at the CFPB and that he had the glass walls in the building frosted like this. How is that transparent?
So obviously, there's nothing else to talk about in the world except the frosted windows of Mick Mulvaney. Let's talk to Carly Shimkus about that. She's on channel 115 on Sirius,
That's right.
24/7 News.
Good morning.
Where is this investigation going?
We're talking interior design today. So, Budget Director Mick Mulvaney, also acting head of the CFPB, like you said, he testified before Congress yesterday, and he was questioned about the newly frosted windows installed into his office and the offices of 13 other people. Now, Democrat Congressman Keith Ellison hammered him on this point. Now, he essentially accused him...
Was he joking?
No, he was not. He accused him essentially of being a hypocrite because he says that he's a champion of transparency and...
It's opaque.
And he's got these frosted glass windows. So a lot of people, of course, are talking about this on social media. Eric says, Party of Science can't figure out the difference between actual transparency and figurative transparency. Adam tweets, meet Rep. Keith Ellison, a member of Congress whose every office wall is made of clear glass. No, just kidding, of course. His offices have walls. Those who live in non-glass houses shouldn't throw stones.
That's cute.
And Mary says, dude, do you work for The Onion now? I'm sure referring to Ellison in that tweet. Now, Mulvaney responded to this saying, how transparent is your office door?
Yeah.
So that was his response.
It's really good. By the way, if you don't really need to see in an office, you just need to see calves and ankles. So you can spot that through the frost.
Unless you're standing on the desk.
That's
Meanwhile,
true.
the White Sox had a big game at home, and they're terrible. What happened?
Oh, poor White Sox. So when you think summer and spring, you think warm weather, crowded baseball stadiums, not for the White Sox, because their home opener only had about 900 fans in attendance.
Are you kidding?
To put that into perspective, their stadium actually holds over 40,000 people.
Why? Are they just really bad, or the
They're off to a
tickets
bad
really
start
expensive?
after a bad season.
Cold, not only that, freezing weather.
Yeah,
so
cold day.
it's a mixture of both. But man, that picture says it all for the
It does.
team.
All right, Carly, thank you very much for the very
Thanks,
latest.
Carly.
Poor White Sox.
From the
Not every team
Twins.
can be
Imagine
10-1
playing-
like the
Right.
Mets.
Thank
All
you.
right, Sanctuary City backlash is growing in the state of California. More cities are now joining that federal lawsuit against the state. One of the lawmakers leading the way is going to join us live in the next hour. Plus,
So much.